76 series Toyota LandCruiser has been with us for what feels like a million years. It's a very familiar product in Australia. But what we have here today is something special. This is the 70th anniversary edition of the 76. Now there's only 80 of these have been made. So good luck getting your hands on one basically. We've been lucky enough to track one down and we want to run through it and see if it's worth your money because this is an $80,000 vehicle. But the first thing you're going to notice with this 70th anniversary 76 series LandCruiser is the front end. You've got this retro style grille that actually spell the word Toyota out instead of having the logo. You've also got LED lights down here and sort of like a blanking area around the headlights to make them look like a round light instead of a square light. There's also some old school limited edition 70th anniversary badges on the side, just so you can let everyone know you got something a little bit different. We've got a black bumper at the front, which looks really cool, black flares on the side, but for some reason we've got chrome here on our mirrors, which looks a bit out of place considering there's a black stalk going to the vehicle. So there are three colours available with the 70th edition. You've got this lovely Merlot red, the very classic sandy taupe, and also the classic white. It's a little bit different, a little bit of spice on top of what would be normally a GXL based 76. It's all styling, you're not getting any other changes. No more power, no auto gearbox, no perfectly corrected rear track width, which we won't talk about. Let's go poke around inside and see what's different with this 70th anniversary LandCruiser, because there are a few differences inside to make this a bit of a special vehicle, and I think it might be a collector's item in the years to come. We're already into a little bit of ruts here. We just want to test out the low range. We are a bit limited because everything's closed at the moment with all the rain we've had, so we just want to test it out. That is super low. Again, this vehicle's just begging for bigger tyres. Now, if you do get stuck, there's also front and rear diff locks, and they're again very easy to engage. There is traction control as well built into it, but hey, if you've got lockers, you'd be mad not to use them. Now, in terms of being a competent off-roader, I don't think there's really going to be much out there that'll compete with the 76. You've got plenty of ground clearance, solid axles front and rear, diff locks front and rear as mentioned, fantastic gearing. It's just built for the bush. Absolutely stunning vehicle off-road, which you'd expect because it's such a compromise in many other places. So if you can put up with the on-road handling and the loud interior, man, this thing goes some serious places off-road. I've got to say the ride quality is much better than I expected it to be, considering it's a commercial vehicle essentially. Front end feels nice and planted too. You don't notice that weird track issue with, the back end being 4 inches narrower than the front. Where it is going to be an issue is sand, and I personally have driven one of these in sand and you just get tossed side to side, side to side. So track width correction, that's something I think is pretty important. And it's so slow to steer. You really notice this is a farm truck, and look, I am spoiled for choice because I have been testing a lot of vehicles lately, and we've just on the back of testing 18 different four-wheel drives at the Four-Wheel Drive of the Year awards. So jumping into this, it does feel dated. It caught me out a little bit when I first picked the car up. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple little vehicle. You want to look at the air conditioning, and that shows you that this LandCruiser definitely has its roots firmly planted in the 80s. But what doesn't need improvement is the extra additions you get into this 70th anniversary cruiser. There's some unique features, and look, they are cosmetic. They're purely aesthetic, but there's some handy things too, like you now have two cup holders down here instead of just the one before, which is madness in an $80,000 vehicle. I'm excited about cup holders, but there they are. There's 4 USB points now too, which is excellent. Black trim around the air vents and this around here. There's also some fake wood, and you get some leather stitching around the gear knob and a boot there. So look, it's not much, but this is going to be a special vehicle. There's not many of them built. There's only 80 of them around. So if you want one of the nicest 76 series on the market, you got to get in quick and grab one of these. But should you buy one in the first place? Well, that's what we want to know, because this isn't for everyone. As I said before, this is an emotional vehicle. You need to connect with it. You need to deal with the loud engine, which I love. You need to deal with the truck-like steering. There are a lot of compromises, but if you can put up with them, you're going to have a hell of a good time. Another unique feature of the 70th anniversary 76 series is the seats. So they're not really a leather, they're sort of a leather. We'll call it a leather styled seat. And look, it's not too bad. It's basic, but it's pretty comfortable compared to some of the other offerings in the 76 range. What I'm not too stoked about is the steering wheel, because it looks beautiful. It's a fantastic looking wheel, but it doesn't have any of the electronics hooked up. So while it feels good in your hand, there's just a blank here and it would have been really good to see some extra technology incorporated just to make this thing properly special. Something I do really like is this center console here though, with its LandCruiser badging. It's just a nice retro touch, and I think that is just a little bit special. That's something that is quite cool about this vehicle. I would have liked to see that this badge, was numbered, so you knew you had one of 80, but hey, one can dream. It's still pretty cool. And I especially love the color too. This Merlot red, it's just so deep. It's just meant to be on this car. I reckon it absolutely matches it perfectly. Now, safety-wise, there's no airbags in the back, and this is only a 5-seater. It's not a 7-seater, so, this mightn't be the best family wagon in terms of safety. But for 2 people, take the back seats out, you get a little bit more space for touring. You're just gonna have a great time, and you're gonna be able to get parts anywhere you are in Australia. This vehicle's so well serviced. That's across the LandCruiser range. So look, on paper, it's a 4.5 litre turbo diesel motor. It's only producing 430 Newton meters. And when you look at things like the Hilux pumping out 500 in a lighter vehicle, you'd sort of write this off. But it's the way this motor makes power. It's just so torquey. And the good thing is, if you're not happy with the power, they're so tunable. These things are so unstressed. A trip to a dyno tuner or something like that, you're going to see well over 150 kilowatts at the wheels. If you need to tow, or you just want to hoon around a little bit, this motor's going to do the job. If you want even more, not a problem. The aftermarket can help you out there. Well, we've had a great time with this 76 series LandCruiser. I think we've captured it in the right environment, because this basically is a farm truck. Now sure, being the anniversary model, there's a couple of nicer things inside, nicer seats, some cup holders. It's still such a dinosaur of a vehicle, and that's a great thing. It's an emotional vehicle though, because you have to drive it, you have to connect with it. It's got a loud V8 that's gonna drone on the highway. It's got a 5-speed gearbox you have to engage with. If that's for you, you could have found a friend for life here, because this vehicle is just gonna go and go and go. It's so strong, so dependable. We know everything about it in Australia now. You're never gonna lose a dime on it too, that's for sure, because being the 70th anniversary model, there's only 80 of these around. So if you want to park it up, put it in a shed, store it for a rainy day and make a bit of money, cool. If you want to drive it, you're going to have a hell of a lot of fun in the process.